Hello everybody and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my unusual approach to lower league tactics. And let's get started with an overview. As we begin, I want to mention that this won't be your typical lower league tactic video that you may be used to, because when playing as a lower league team and trying to build out our tactic, we want to reconfigure how we think about our players and our player roles. It can be easy to assume that since we're in a lower league that we have to use a lot of the less exciting roles, like maybe a wide midfielder or no-nonsense role, because our players aren't as good as the ones in the top division. But we're going to go over why I don't consider player roles being league dependent. The main reason is because of something called relativity and how it relates to your players and their attributes. In Football Manager terms, relativity is how player attributes only have importance in relation to the opponent they are playing. So we don't want to think of a player role in tiers, meaning some roles can only be used in lower leagues and some can only be used in higher leagues, because a player and their attributes should only be compared with the league they are in. A tactic that is built with the strengths of the players in mind will work regardless of the league it's used in. This includes using all available player roles. For example, a player in a playmaking role in the lower leagues may take a little longer on the ball. They may not see the perfect pass right away, and that pass may not be quite on target. But remember, the defenders that playmaker is going against will have slower reaction times. They can't mark players very well, and aren't as good at anticipating those passes. So it balances out because the players are on equal terms. In the next section, we'll pick our team and start talking about attributes. We're with Kingsland Town, who play in the National League North, the lowest English league we can start in on the standard Football Manager database. When playing in a top division, I usually use the number 13 as a baseline to decide whether an attribute is good or bad. But since we're not in a top division, we need to reconfigure our thinking. Because the standard attribute range in Football Manager works from a top-down approach, meaning every league in Football Manager has to use the same attribute range regardless of the quality of the leagues and the quality of those players. But by changing our attribute range for our save, we can better think about our players. If you go to the squad planner, you can see a report that has a breakdown of all the attributes and how your team compares with every other player in your league. Looking through some of the attributes, I found that the number 10 is about average. This is very much an inexact science, we're just trying to get a feel. In Football Manager, the attribute range is between the numbers 1 and 20. Generally, for most of the attributes down here in the lower leagues, you're not going to see many 20s. So for me, this is my lower league breakdown. Attributes between 1 and 3 would be bad. Attributes between 4 and 8 would be average. Between 9 and 12 would be good, and anything above 13 would be excellent. Keep in mind these numbers are arbitrary and you can change them to whatever you think fits. And on top of that, we can also thankfully change the parameters in Football Manager. In the settings and preferences, we can change our attribute range and our colors. The colors are a personal preference, of course, but we can change our attribute numbers to better reflect our league. This is purely an aesthetic change and has no impact on gameplay, but it can help change that frame of mind with players like Jack Lambert. Now that we know for the most part that anything above the number 10 is good, we can see that Lambert is a high quality player, and choosing a player role should not be affected just because we're in a lower league. And with that out of the way, let's head to the next section and talk about the actual tactic. For demonstration purposes, and really the point of this video, I wanted to use one of my favorite tactics in FM24. If you've seen a few of my videos, you probably already know what it is. It's this 4-2-3-1, and it uses roles that would generally be considered taboo for lower leagues, like the Raumdeuter. But even though we're in the lower leagues, the tactic still follows my personal tactical preferences. We have 3 roles providing defensive cover, in the anchor, inverted fullback, and central defender. The libero pushes up into the midfield, occupying space that's left by the segundo volante on attack. The enganche is our playmaking number 10 role. The winger gives us width and some creativity out on the flank. And we have 2 attack-focused roles in the poacher and the Raumdeuter. These 3 roles give us attacking threats for multiple levels and they're spread out across the formation. The point of all this is just to show that we don't have to use the play roles that are generally considered for lower league only. Use roles that benefit your team and your players, And if your tactic is well built, you should see some success. Now that's not to say there will be no downsides when using a tactic like this, because playing in a lower league, you're going to see a lot of misplaced passes and just overall poor positioning, but frankly, we see that in the top leagues as well. Okay, now that we have our tactical idea, let's check out some highlights. This one starts with our goalie on the ball. We're going to watch the poacher, which is a role that sits on the shoulder of the last defender. We're able to move the ball quickly and get our striker the goal. We'll start this one with the opponent on the ball in their half of the field. It gives us a good look at our defensive shape. The play starts and our Raumdeuter is able to intercept the poor pass. As we build our possession, this is pretty normal stuff. My players have passing options and we move the ball with a little more focus on patience now that we're in the opponent's half. And I'll pause with a Segunda Volante on the ball. Here's our libero. It's a role that looks for open space in the midfield. With the opponent pushed back, he's got that space to take a shot on goal. In this one, my inverted fullback is on the ball in the opponent's half. He decides to go a bit rogue and dribble into the midfield. We turn it over, but the fullback redeems himself and forces the turnover. Our counter gives us a good look at our quick, incisive passing. Just because we're in the lower leagues doesn't mean we can't play some beautiful football. Our last example starts with us on the ball in the opponent's half again. This role out here is the winger. It's a role that wants to stay out wide, dribble at defenders, and hit in crosses. And that's exactly what he does. Their goalie punches it out, and we win that crucial 50-50 ball. Here's our results so far this season. We got unlucky in the first match of the season, but lucky in the second match. And overall, it's a really nice start. One of the biggest differences for me when playing in a lower league compared with the top league is generally that fitness levels aren't the same. So if you like to use a high press aggressive tactic, sometimes there can be issues with your players not able to keep up with the tactic. But hopefully this gives you an idea on how we can change our frame of mind when dealing with lower league tactics. If you'd like some player role shirts like the one I've been wearing, or maybe a digital football manager planner, you can check out the halfspaceapparel.com. I've also got a Patreon account if you'd like to support the channel. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.